Beyond soil pH recovery, what are the other measurable changes you've documented since 2017? Lamb survival rates, pasture productivity, input costs, biodiversity, and which result surprised you the most?
The lamb survival was the biggest one, actually. That was just a management practice change, really, on the lamb survival.
What do you mean by management?
So that was
change?
More careful management of the ewe condition score, not having the ewes too fat when we're lambing. Well, we actually cull, this is counterintuitive to any farmer on the planet, but we culled triplets. So for 3 or 4 years, any ewe that had triplets, we culled because the fertility had gone too far. Because what we found was our best productive animal was a twin.
Yes.
And triplets, it was harder on the ewe.
Yes.
And the lambs didn't finish as well.
Because they were just scarcity of
milk. So we increased our lamb survival tremendously, well, in part by having less triplets, that helped, but then by really carefully managing how many ewes in each mob, how many lambs are in each mob, which paddocks we're putting them into, and the minerals helped as well, actually. So by feeding free choice trace minerals year round instead of just for a short period during lambing, which is a traditional approach, I think that made the ewes more resilient to pregnancy, toxemia, and other things that they sometimes get. So it definitely helped them deal with different nutrients in the pasture over time.
How do you, when you talk about culling the lambs, the triplets, for example, are you doing that anecdotally, just observationally, or do you have a target that you're aiming for, the ideal ewe?
It's interesting when we cull, so for those 3 years, we specifically culled triplets. So because we scanned and we knew who's who and who's having singles, twins, and triplets, we actually lambed the triplets separately for those years. And I decided that they weren't doing as well. So we just culled the whole mob every year at the end of lambing.
Okay.
Because we cull at weaning time in November.
Okay.
And then so that we did that for about 3 years, and that did reduce the fertility across the herd a little bit.
Okay.
And so then now we actually lamb the triplets in with the twins. Okay. Because we found that we were lambing the triplets in this paddock right here. Yeah. And that was because of good grass, and I thought it was reasonable protection. Yeah. But it's more exposed to the southerly wind. Okay. So they didn't do as well in here as they do in the hill paddocks. Yeah. And then on the lamb survival, the other element was changing our management so that we check the lambs twice a day in the first 2 weeks of lambing, and once a day thereafter. And so that meant that you identified, lambs in difficulty earlier, or ewes in difficulty earlier. Yeah. And so all of that meant that we had less ewes getting down and losing their lambs. Yeah. And so that increased ewe survival, and it increased lamb survival.
And so when you're culling those triplets, you let the ewes drop the lambs,
and then they grew them out and weaned them, and then we'd cull the ewe.
And then cull the ewe because she's likely to produce more triplets
next year.
Next year, if she produces once, right? Yeah. So then the lambs go up through the normal trend, right? Interesting. And those genetics don't necessarily pass to the lambs.
Well, those lambs wouldn't go into our breeding mold.
Right, of course. There you go. Okay, brilliant.
So those lambs were also put into the terminal meat mob as well. Excellent. So they were all eaten in their first 12 months.